Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. You know, it's really interesting to me how different people in different communities have banded together to have a positive impact during this last year. We've all been struggling. Imran Hussain, an interesting gentleman who I've interviewed before and has a real impact on our community here in Streetsville, Mississauga, called me up and told me about a really interesting project that was sort of facilitated by one of the local churches, the congregation at Spirit of Pentecost, to provide personal protective equipment to people that were in need across the community. And so Imran's got a couple of people together to talk about this program to us tonight, including Imran Hussain. We've got Chief Stacey Laforme of the Mississaugas of the Credit the First Nation. We've got Pastor Terrell Hurd of the Spirit of Pentecost. We've got an imam from a local mosque, Imam Zahir Bakas. I'm not sure if I did that right. And from Peel Regional Police, we've got Detective Sergeant Faras Ismail. Imran, maybe you could introduce yourself and just a couple of seconds about your project, and then we'll go around the table if we could.
Appreciate that, Brian, and thank you very much again for this kind opportunity to share this story, this initiative. I'm a local business owner and a resident here in Mississauga, Streetsville. Always trying to find ways to help make our community safer and stronger. I do a lot of volunteer work and fundraising, as you know, Brian, for various causes, including our local food bank, Eden Food for Change. I also serve on the board of directors for the Mississauga Arts Council and Peel Crime Stoppers. So when I was contacted by my good friend and neighbor, the Reverend Terrell Hurd from Spirit of Pentecost, he said, Imran, I have some PPE that we need to get out into the community. How can you help us distribute this? He says, you have a big mouth in a good way. Let's put it to use. So I said, okay, let me see. I'll pick up the phone. I'll call some people. How much PPE do we have? He says, well, you start making the phone calls and get back to me, and I'll let you know when we run out. So, in the first week, I made a few phone calls, and we got a lot of community groups and stakeholders, including our first responders at Peel Regional Police, as well as Mississauga Fire and our paramedics, our local business improvement associations, and so many others who said, yeah, we could definitely use face masks and hand sanitizer. So I think we were able to allocate almost 100,000 units of face masks and over 1,000 bottles of hand sanitizer. And I reported back to the pastor, and he said, okay, keep going.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, Imran, we're going to go into more detail what you actually did in a minute. Pastor, maybe you could introduce yourself, sir.
Hi, I've been pastor at Spirit of Pentecost since 1981, actually. I am from the States. You might pick that up, but I've been here actually longer than in the States and pastored this same church the entire time. We've moved locations a few times in Mississauga due to growth in real estate. We ended up here on our present location on Campbell Road. This project came to us really out of the blue, you might say, and we saw a way that we could connect with our people. With the COVID situation happening, we thought this is an excellent way to connect with our people, our citizens, which is not always easy in regular times.
No question.
So we made a few phone calls and got him moving. He knows everybody, I think. So he was able to help us facilitate it, and we made quite a few runs together. So we're excited about that. But that's what our local church is doing, just distributing.
Excellent. Detective Sergeant Faras Ismail, introduce yourself, sir.
Hi, Brian. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for this opportunity. My name is Faraz Ishmael. My friends call me Ish. I'm a 20-year member of Peel Regional Police. Worked in various areas, but spent the last 4 years or so working in our community engagement area. I'm currently responsible for a lot of the community engagement, youth engagement portfolios, as well as our brand new divisional mobilization unit, which we'll talk a little bit about, has been connected and very, very blessed to be a part of this amazing group, and through Mr. Hassan, facilitated the engagement, and we're just helping support this initiative any way we can. So turn it back over to you. Thank you, Brian.
Excellent. And Chief Stacey Laforme, have we got you, sir?
Yeah, Ani, Dima, Stacey Laforme, Mississauga is a credit. I'd like to acknowledge the Creator, the world around us, our place within it. I'd like to acknowledge the many nations that walked this land in the past, the many who walk it today, and welcome you to the treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Anishinaabe. I'm happy to get a call from my friend Imran and the pastor talking about coming out and delivering some PPEs to our First Nation community. That was very kind, and we're always looking to build relationships with our neighbors and those who live on our treaty lands.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And I also believe that we have an imam from the Ansar Mosque in Brampton, Zahir Bahas. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am. How are you?
Very well. Thank you so much for joining us. Wonder if you could give us a quick introduction of who you are.
So my name is Zahir Bacchus. I'm the Imam of Jamiat Ansar in Peel Region, Brampton. And I'm a director of the Canadian Council of Imams and just a community worker at heart, trying to help our community, both the Muslim and our surrounding communities in trying to get through this pandemic, and hopefully we can get through it, in a good way, and that we can get back to some normalcy, hopefully. But we need to join hands, and that's why this initiative was so important, to see that there's communities willing to stretch out their hands and join and help one another. It's a wonderful thing. So there is a silver lining somewhat to the pandemic, that we were able to join hands and help one another.
I agree completely, no question. Well, thank you all for joining us tonight. We're going to take a quick break for some messages and come back more and understand a little bit about this project, how it got started, and the impact that it's having on our community. Stay with us, everybody. Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio, our Saga 960. What a fascinating bunch of gentlemen I have to introduce you all to today that are very involved in this project to supply personal protective equipment, PPE, to people in need within our community. Pastor Terrell Hurd, sounds like you were the initiator of the whole project. Tell me how the opportunity came to you, sir.
We have a friend in Belleville area, and he called me one day, had access to some masks through a warehouse in the Toronto area. And I don't know what the reasoning behind it all was or where they were going with it, but he said, would you like some masks? I said, sure. And he told me, I said, how many? He said, bring a big U-Haul truck. So I said, okay, we'll give them away. We'll be happy to do that. So we made the trip. I went personally myself and a couple of guys from the church, and we hand loaded quite a few masks into the U-Haul, brought them to the church. And from there, we decided how we're going to not sell them, how we're going to give these things away. There's no cost to them. We're not charging anything, nothing. So I thought of Imran, and Imran has been to our church. He shared some things with us. We helped him with the Streetsville outreach efforts and so forth. So I said, Imran, you know a lot of people. I said, can you help us with this? We did a little drive-through. We got some people coming through, but I said, we got too many. And so got him on the bandwagon. He started making calls. And from there, it just snowballed till we've met so many people around the city, outside the city, including Chief LaForme and the Consul General from St. Vincent. We've been all over the place with these things. So that's kind of where we got involved. Our people have been involved. They've helped us get them ready, stage them, put them out, meet the police, meet the fire department, many people meeting at the church to pick these up. We've delivered some to other places, and we still have some left. We're on the last leg of the journey, but it's been exciting.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's been great. We've enjoyed meetings for me.
Imran, two questions if I could. So number one, why were you at a Pentecostal church? That's interesting. And then number two, tell me, how did you, when you got the call from the pastor, how did you respond?
Well, the first answer to the question is, why would I end up at a Pentecostal church? Well, they had this beautiful sign 3 years ago outside on the street of, I'm going to say Argentia Road in Campobello, where their congregation is. And it said, there is a play called Scrooge that's going to be, presented by the congregation. If you'd like, come and join us. So of course, I'm really, excited about these kinds of arts related activities. So I went in, helped myself, enjoyed such a beautiful presentation that the following year, I asked the pastor if he'd do it again, and he was organizing it. So I brought my father. My father and I enjoyed the presentation, and we became friends since. And whenever we were doing any kind of initiatives in the Streetsville area for the food bank, I reached out to the congregation through the good pastor, and he was always very supportive. So that's how I ended up.
That's a wonderful initiative for both the pastor and for you to present. There's the line that says one of the most segregated times in our communities are weekend religious events, Sunday mornings or Friday afternoons or Saturday mornings when we're going to our different mosques, temples, synagogues, churches, etc. And so the fact that you went to the Pentecostal church is wonderful. Pastor, you might be interested. I've done some sermons on the Apostle Paul. And when I've done it, I've ended up advertising it, and I had a bunch of Muslim friends and a couple of Jewish friends come and into both an evangelical church, a Baptist church, and a United church that I did these sermons at. And it was wonderful to have sort of a business person's perspective on something that was religious, and then have other people from other religions come and listen to it. So those kinds of efforts, I congratulate. So
good.
Imran, you got this call. What'd you do then?
Well, it was easy for me to pick up the phone, call a few like-minded, like-hearted people to say, listen, we've got some much-needed PPE. How can we help, spread the love and help protect the public? And whether it was long-term care facilities or retirement homes or independent businesses or other institutions, there were so many on our list, and we're still going through them to reach out. But of course, the support we've received from our first responders community and Peel Regional Police has been instrumental in getting these partnerships through the community and be able to deliver and even not only just accept the donation on behalf of the community stakeholders, but physically put them in the vehicles and get them out through their frontline officers is just an amazing, amazing experience.
So Ish, I would have thought you would have had your own PPE. What were you doing in this project?
Thanks, Brian. Well, we do. We certainly have our load of PPE as well. But when Imran reached out and made us aware of this opportunity, and look, we've known Imran for some time. He's obviously a very key community advocate, somebody that does a lot of work, and is certainly somebody that we wanted to leverage in this context. He's now facilitating access to this PPE. We certainly, through Divisional Mobilization Unit and through community engagement, have a lot of different groups, social advocacy groups, and other groups that we work with in the community that could certainly use that. And so when Imran reached out, we started making some calls to see who could benefit from and be able to utilize these PPEs, including all of our religious institutions as well. So first thing we did was said, okay, how can we help? And dedicated some of our divisional mobilization contacts to get in touch with Mr. Hassan. And then from there, it was just a matter of, okay, how can we help? Connect with some people. And like he mentioned, we actually, physically went in there, loaded them up into cars, and actually started delivering these. And we're still concurrently doing that as we speak. We're still working on developing and identifying other partners that we can get this out to. So for us as an organization to be able to be a part of this, certainly great for us to be able to go out and connect into the community. There are some community partners now that we're just meeting through this opportunity that has been provided to us by Pastor Hurd and Imran Hassan, and any opportunity we can to be a part of something like this, we'll certainly take advantage of. So very grateful to be included in this initiative.
We're very grateful for the role that you guys play in the community. That's even more than the policing that you do, obviously, as your main job. Iman, I apologize. I probably mispronounced your name. Could you remind me how I pronounce your name and then tell us how you got involved, sir?
It's Imam Zahir from the mosque in Brampton. I got involved because Peel Regional Police, we've always been in close contact. Years ago, Peel Regional Police established a Muslim advisory committee with Muslim leaders across the Peel region. And so we would meet with the Peel regional staff and superintendent and the chief every month or so and go through some issues and so on, and so that were part of our community. And so that branched out into other committees of that Peel Regional Police established. So they contacted us about this great initiative with the Pentecostal Church and Imran and the pastor who wanted to help the community, and especially the religious community, to get their hands on PPEs for our community members and congregants who were coming. And so we took the opportunity that, of course, we have a lot of people, especially elderly people, and we found it really beneficial for our congregation to know that we got these masks and these PPE equipment through Peel Police, but also it came through the Pentecostal Church and so on and so forth, and that it was a great way to show our community, at least, that not only are we in this together, but we can actually join hands and help one another because we're one strong community. What differs is probably the name of God that we call upon, but we're all the same and we're seeking the same, and we're seeking safety. And so through that, with Peel Regional Police and the Pentecostal Church and Imran and so on, we're able to establish within our community that we are bonded and we are brothers together, and we can overcome anything as long as we work together. As long as we work together, we overcome anything.
That's right.
Well, man, I really appreciate those words. It's interesting. I had a show just a couple of weeks ago with a diversity expert, an academic, and she was saying there's 4 levels of communities coming together. And the first one is diversity. And she said diversity is a fact. Inclusion is when you are together. Equality is when you are working together for a common purpose. And then celebration is when you celebrate everyone's common part of our society. And I got to tell you that I think that clearly having a pastor from a Pentecostal church and an imam and a chief from an Indigenous organization on our show in our community is a fact of diversity. The fact that you're all together is inclusion. The fact that you're working together is equality. And I got to tell you, I think what we got to do is we got to make sure that you invite us all to an iftar dinner, because then we're going to be celebrating together. And then the pastor's going to invite us to his next Christmas pageant, and we'll be doing it all enjoying each one's separate celebration. So I appreciate the role that all of you are playing. Chief, if we got you there, can we ask how you got involved, sir?
Well, I have over the course of the last 5 years been one of my main goals is outreach and communications, making allies, friends, sort of, the statement of we're all in this together, let's figure out what works for everybody. And through the course of that, I've met some very, very interesting people. And the response from, for our First Nation has been fantastic with regards to people reaching out to us, whether it's individual giving us 10 homemade masks, or whether it's an organization giving us 12,000 like we received here, or 20,000 that were received in a pass from another organization, so very much believe in the foundational principles of inclusion. It's part of my, I don't want to say mantra, but it's one of the things that I hold very dear.
Well, we really appreciate you being included and including us, no question. Sir, I just finished a fascinating interview with one of Canada's top political commentators, and he said a fascinating thing. He said the biggest injustice that we have is our injustice to the Indigenous people in Canada. What would you say to that?
I would say that's, if you're putting all the sticks down the ground and measure them one end to the other, that may be true. But, what I tell people is, because I heard Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister, about the most important relationships and things like that for him. And I said, okay, those are great words. But I said, never, ever take one set of people and put them on a pedestal and say, this is where I'm going to focus. Because there are so many other nations who are marginalized in society, and they have just as much right to be involved, equal as we do. And I said, the quickest way to divide us and separate us is to put us on this pedestal and work with us, and they'll see themselves being ignored. So I always say, never, ever let that happen.
What a generous attitude. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. We're chatting with a bunch of different gentlemen that have been very involved in an effort to supply personal protective equipment to people in need across our community. And it sounds like it's had a major impact. Pastor, maybe I could ask you, how does the congregation feel about this inclusive attitude that they've sort of created within Mississauga?
they're excited about it. Usually, you might know, everybody has their own little limitations, during normal times. And that we've seen broken down in the last year, where people are realizing, it's not just me and my group, there's a lot of us out here. And we saw a means to connect, and our people have been extremely excited about it. Part of it has been the diversity. It's not just people as we, our beliefs, our stands. Everyone has their own beliefs, but this goes deeper than that. Back to, in my mind, I think of Adam and Eve, the father and mother of us all. And I also think of Abraham and Lot when they were about to separate. There was a bit of argument between them. And Abraham said, "We are brothers." And from that, they worked out their solution and resolved their problems. And I think that's what this has been to us, is a chance through the last year to connect with our brothers, with our sisters. We all have different beliefs and feelings, no matter it's political, religious, or whatever. But we've been able to connect. And to me, it's a pleasure, because you put those things down for the moment and you look at who people really are and you see them. And I have no problem connecting with all of these people that we've been a part of. Going out to the reserve, there was Chief LaForma, was one of the highlights for me, Chief, to be with you and to see what you're doing there, what's going on, to receive a copy of your book. Was a pleasure. I heard you tell one of our people, read it slowly. And I've done that. And I see between the lines what you're trying to say. We all have stories. We've all got instances. And many times we focus just on those. But to me, it's been a broader scale, more basic, connecting with our brothers and sisters. And that's been a pleasure for me and for our church.
One of the things that I think is so special about Mississauga, and probably the whole Greater Toronto area, but in Mississauga, is the richness of our diversity. And gentlemen, you've exemplified that tonight. So thank you so much for that. We're going to take a break and come back more with these gentlemen in just a minute. Stay with us. Well, welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. Imran Hussein, a gentleman that I know well from Streetsville, a politician, a community activist, an interesting guy, called me up and told me about a really fascinating project that was going on in Mississauga to get PPE to people that need it from a Pentecostal church. And he's brought together some of the key people in that sort of community organizational structure to talk to us tonight. We've got the pastor of the church, Terrell Heard. We've got gentlemen from Peel Police, Faras Ismail, Ish for short. We've got an imam from a mosque in Brampton, Imam Zahir, and we've got a representative of a local Indigenous community, Chief LaForme. So, gentlemen, thank you so much again for joining us all. Ish, maybe I could turn to you. You know, I talked a couple minutes ago about top political commentator I was chatting with, and he said, his number 2 or 3 issue, I think it was his number 3 issue, was policing in North America today. And he commented that our policing issues in Canada were far less than the United States, but he said that policing really needed to get more out into the community. I understand that you've got a new organization, a new division within your police force that is trying to do exactly that. Tell me a little bit about, if you could, policing, where you think it is, and what this new division is all about.
Thank you very much, Brian. I think with the introduction of Chief Duriapa, about a year and a half ago now, and change in our central management group, there's been a shift, a focus, as an organization, as we kind of transition more into the community safety well-being framework, really with a focus on that community engagement, working with partners in order to deal with a variety of issues that, whether we're talking about mental health or addictions, homelessness, things along those lines, which have historically just been really, just turned over to police, but we know that there's other professionals in the community that we need to partner with and collaborate with. So you start to see our, MCERT teams, mental, crisis rapid response teams to deal with mental health issues and that. And so a part of that was the development of a brand new unit called the Divisional Mobilization Unit, which is focus is on social development, prevention, intervention, but really about connecting with the community. It's all in a positive engagement context, working with individuals that need that help connecting them with the right social service providers through situation tables and otherwise. And, as an organization, as we kind of shift and transition into that, this is a very non-traditional new unit, divisionally deployed. We're looking at an upwards of 50 officers throughout the organization who report centrally here to regional community mobilization. And, it's a non-enforcement, non-investigative unit. So the focus, it really is on in establishing and maintaining those community connections while working to, help those community members in need. So you can see how a unit like this, of course, within the context of this conversation, and Mr. Hassan was aware of this unit, and some of our partners are. When he put that call into us, it seemed like a perfect opportunity for us to utilize and leverage these officers to go out there and connect and help deliver some of this PPE to the folks in our community that need that. So you'll hear a little bit more about the unit now. We're only 2 months on the ground. We didn't want to put the cart before the horse, but so far as there's some media attention going out to it, and as we kind of get out there, and as hopefully some of the COVID restrictions start to subside, we'll start to be more and more involved in that community engagement piece. So we'll start to be a bit more visible. But we're certainly very happy and proud. And in the first couple months, it's been an extraordinary new unit, and kind of seeing them develop and moving forward. And again, being a part of something like this is a great opportunity to leverage that and extend that out and meet more and more of our community partners. Excellent.
Excellent. Ish, you're a detective sergeant with Peel Police. You've been with Peel Police, I understand, for 20 years. And your resume is pretty impressive. You're a nationally recognized counterterrorism and hate crimes expert. And you've, served in a consultative capacity in a wide array of terrorism and extremism related investigations.
Yes.
Race and race issues in police forces across North America have been one of probably the number 2 issue after the pandemic this past year. Do we have institutional racism in our police forces in Canada? And what are you guys doing to deal with racism?
I think it exists in systems in different varieties. I think we need to really understand what systemic racism is, what that discrimination is, and I think it's not about individuals. It's about certain gaps in our systems that could certainly be solidified and improved to kind of help create a more robust, a more equal, a more equitable type of service provide better service to our community within that context. So it's really not about the individuals themselves, but I think, as our chief has noted as well, it certainly does exist in certain systems. With respect to, what we can do, I think it really comes down to, community understanding, collaboration, really working with our community members to see how we can work together moving forward. I think really the key here is to understand that, acknowledge that there are certain gaps that we can certainly improve on, and be open-minded and willing to kind of engage in those difficult, very hard discussions to have. But I do believe that's the first step towards moving forward, and we are certainly invested in that, and the future looks bright.
I congratulate you for that and encourage you in that regard. So thank you for that. Iman Zahir, I understand you're extremely involved in numerous different organizations that bring the community together. You're on the steering committee of the Interfaith Council of Peel, and you're also director of the Canadian Council of Imams. Sounds to me like, getting out of your own mosque into the wider community is critically important to you. Why?
It is very important because we have a lot of outreach that within our faith, it's not just about, our relationship with God. It's actually helping people. It's part of our tenets of our faith that we actually reach out to help those who are in need. We have a distribution of part of our savings every year. We have what is donations, and those types of things are embedded within our faith, that we love for others what we love for ourselves, which is a principle within our faith itself. And so our faith tells us that we have to reach across and help people who are in need of help. We have to seek the people who may not have a voice or who may not be able to reach for that help. We have to go and find them if they're there. And so, you find typically, like in our mosque, you find Feed the Poor programs, which we cook food and we give to shelters, women and men's shelters, youth shelters, We have a Feed the Street program, which we go out and we distribute food to those who are homeless and so on and so forth. We have food banks in our masjids, in our mosques. We have collection of socks for the winter time, coats, a gambit of things that we try to do. And also at the same time, we reach out and we have interfaith meetings and interfaith dinners that we can invite different communities so we can share our faith together and the beauty of our faith together, so that, you know, we can end the intolerance that people try to promote. And we ended by showing that we are part of our community and society, that we can help others, and at the same time we can try to understand one another and try to gain that bond of brotherhood and sisterhood together. So it makes it very effective when we have open houses at our mosque, which we regularly have, not now during COVID, but, you know, we normally had open houses where we invite people in and we share a meal and we share conversation and so on. And so at the end of the day, I always say we always want the same thing. No matter what our ethnicity, our religion, or whatnot, what do we want? Our children to live in harmony and peace and to grow up well in a society that values ethics and values good morals. That's what we want. All of us want it, right? That's what we want.
No question.
And so we, at the end of the day, we can all share in wanting the same thing for our children. And what I want for my children, I want for your children. So why can't we work together? We can certainly work together, right? And alleviate whatever ills there are in society, right? And so that through our work and through my own work, this is what we try to do. This is what I try to do.
I think working together is critically important. You get to know people and you get to know them as real people, which is helpful. But I also think that your idea of the open house is a wonderful idea. I've had the privilege of going to some mosques for funeral services that were very impactful to me. But I got to tell you, one of the most impactful was I think twice now. I have fasted during Eid and then been invited to an iftar dinner and broken the fast. And I have to be honest, I only fasted for a day. I understand that you fast for the whole month. It's got to be a bit more challenging than just for a day. But to actually fast for the day and then go to the iftar dinner and pray alongside people like yourself was very impactful and was a beautiful experience. And so I'd encourage you to think about not just open houses, but actually inviting people like me and others to an iftar dinner once in a while.
Oh, you're welcome to come every day. I mean, COVID, we're not having iftars in our mosque, but what we're doing actually, and I invite you to come, is that in Brampton and in Peel, we're inviting the community to fast for us for a day, a specific day, and then we will have dinner iftar in a box to go. So it's a drive-through iftar. So you come, if you fast half a day, an hour, two all day or whatnot, we will tell you to come to our place of worship and pick up a very delicious iftar dinner for you and your family. So we'll look forward to that. We will send that out on Brampton and Mississauga's website. So we're looking forward to having people join in and to join us on a day of fast or half a day of fasting and enjoying a meal on us on the mosque.
Wonderful. Chief Stacey Laforme of the Mississaugas of the credit of the new credit of the First Nation. Sir, I understand that you're committed to increasing involvement and communication between elected councils, both on and off the reserve. Tell us a little bit about some of that, those activities that you've done to make us all aware of our Indigenous brothers, communities.
Well, first off, it's no longer the new credit; it's just called the credit.
Okay, apologize.
Yeah, no worries. It was a slow and much needed change. So the removal of new takes us a little bit closer to our past, and eventually, you know, the Mississaugas are part of a larger nation called the Michi-Sagi Nation, and one day maybe we'll even get to that far back with our names and title. But right now, it's just the Mississaugas of the credit. People struggle in the community with it all the time because it's a recent change. But in the last little while, I've been going out personally and making relationships with universities, colleges, organizations, firms, unions, and I've even signed MOUs with different universities, different unions, different organizations. And it's all about understanding and learning about each other and friendship. You know, I've had a couple of wampum belts presented to me, actually three, one by Oakville, one by Caledon, and one by the YMCA of Oakville, all friendship belts. So a lot of work is going on in regards to who we are, why we should be friends, why we should work together, that type of thing. Now, the good thing is a lot of people have taken my hand and said, you know, pleasure. The bad thing is that now they're starting to do as I ask and call, and it becomes a little overwhelming for my staff. So they said, slow down, Chief, don't make so many friends.
Friendship can be busy work, no question.
Yes, sir.
So tell me, sir, if people want to become more aware of our local Indigenous heritage, what's the best way to do that?
Well, they can come on our website, or they can contact My Nation. We have a website, we have media, we have a newsletter. Plus, you might not be aware, but the Mississaugas of the Credit have treaties throughout Southern Ontario that encompass 3.9 million acres. So it's a vast territory that the Mississaugas are stewards of, and that's a big responsibility. It's not just that it's our land and we can just forget about it. You know, we have obligations under our treaties, just as Canadian society does.
Well, I congratulate all of you for the involvement that you've got in this effort. We're going to take a break and come back with some concluding comments in just a minute. Everyone stay with us, please. Well, welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour, Saga 960. I've had a really enjoyable time this evening hearing about this effort to distribute PPE into the community, and how it's really brought is that a word? Brought an interesting group of community members together from different ethnic groups and different religious groups to really work together for the benefit of the community. And so I wonder if each one of you could give me sort of a final message to the community, if you could. Pastor Terrell Hurd, what's your message, sir?
I think working together, as we've already spoken, I won't derail the conversation to other points of interest right now, but I believe working together with seeing the faces and not just imagining groups is a big part of what we're trying to do and connect with. And as well as the churches, I think there are several religious groups on here, of course, including Indigenous and the Muslim, myself. There are impacts from the COVID that I would like to just draw a little bit of attention to, and that is there's other points of interest other than the virus itself that we have to deal with among our people. And those, I think, need to be emphasized as well by the communities we live in, the government, and acknowledge that there are needs there that go beyond a temperature and go beyond a cough. So we need some attention. We need to be able to focus on that. Our hands have been tied quite a bit. And I'd just like to leave the thought that let us get out a little more, let us do it a little more. I think we can make a much bigger difference doing what we're all inclined to do. The fellowship is good, the connection is good, but it gets more specific issues than that on the daily level. So let's consider the church is there. We consider the community. And I want to thank you again, Brian, for just the time to speak here this afternoon.
My pleasure. Iman Zahir, what's your final message, sir?
My final message is for everyone to stay strong, stay healthy, get outside, as the pastor has said. One of the things that has taught us, the COVID-19 pandemic and so on, is how much we actually need one another to not only see smiles of people, but to share with other people and to talk and even to see one another. I mean, it's been trying, and the mental well-being is something that we should really consider. And when we get back to our places of worship or to our works and so on and so forth, don't take that for granted, because people will need to see a smiling face. They will need to see eyes that light up because you see people. They will need to hear kind words. And so it's good for our mental well-being. And so what I want to emphasize is that be good people, be good stewards, be good religious people or whatnot, and share that smile, share that brightening of your eyes. If it's behind a mask, you can't see a smile, but at least you can see the brightening of an eye, right? And that's enough for people to feel good in their hearts. And so look at people and see people and smile internally, smile externally, and light up those eyes, because it does so much for their well-being, their mental well-being. So, if you see me, you'll see my eyes brighten up. You'll see me. So, I hope all of you have a pleasant and a great day. And, hopefully we get back to our normals, that we can see smiling faces again, hopefully.
Be kind. Great message, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian.
And, Detective Sergeant Ish, with that big white smile that is magnetic. What's your final word, sir?
Thank you very much, Brian. First and foremost, thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you everybody in this group. I mean, Pastor Hurd, Imran, Chief Laform, Imam Zahir. I mean, the fact that all of you are a part of something like this and allowing us to, get this PPE out and then help support the community, in these difficult and trying times. I think my message is, look, this is difficult on a whole lot of fronts for a whole lot of people. It's taken its effect, mentally, physically. I think a lot of us are in our own ways dealing with this the best that we can. My message is to stay strong. I'd like to piggyback on what my friends are just said. Be positive, stay positive, and look after one another. Look inside and see if there's a way that you can help and that you can support the community just like these good folks have. And just know that we as an organization are here. We look forward to working with you with respect to some of these new units that we have out there under the community safety wellbeing umbrella. You're going to start to see them more and more, connect with them, get to know these officers. We're doing everything that we can to humanize the badge and make you see us and make you realize that we are just a part of this community as well. We're all dealing with our own mental health as well. This is difficult for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. So us being a part of this, I can tell you that the officers, that my teammates who have been a part of this, are smiling bigger. They're feeling better just because they get a chance to do things like this. So please, if there's any way that we can support you, just let us know. And thanks to everybody in this group for everything that you've done. We really, really appreciate it. And we're very blessed to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ish. Imran, have you got any PPE left? What's your final comment, sir?
Well, yeah, there's still one more drive on Thursday, the 25th of March, which also coincides with my birthday. I thought I'd throw that out there. So it's my gift back to the community on behalf of the Spirit of Pentecost. Look at, for every gray cloud, there's a silver lining. And I'm truly grateful for the friendships and for the partnerships that we have in our community, with our First Nations community, with our first responders, with our most vulnerable, all of us, these institutions and all of the people, who've allowed these kinds of conversations to happen. And Brian, thank you so much for, inviting us here today to be able to share a little bit of a, experience of what we've, been able to do to help make a difference during COVID-19. And truly, this is some point in our lives we're going to look back on and be able to see what we've done to bring our communities closer together and make us safer and stronger together.
Well, I congratulate all of you for coming together to have this impact. Chief Laform, I understand that you're a poet. Do you have a piece of a little bit of a poem that you could share with us, sir, as your final goodbye?
Sure. It's a challenging time in our world, and never has it been more apparent that we need each other and that all things are connected. I'll read you one quick one. It's called My Wish. My wish is to see you stand as one, to support each other through the good and the bad. Do not let jealousy or past issues cloud your reason. Do not let small-mindedness stop you. Do not let loss and grief overwhelm you. It is so easy to be divided by pain and hurt, yet it is the time to stand together, to love one another. Faced with horror, do not become a part of it. Rather rise above it with the strength of your ancestors. Let the children see you as you wish to be seen. Stand in the light in the darkest moment, and you will leave a legacy beyond wealth or power. You will leave a world full of hope, and hope is the brightest star in our best possible future.
Chief Stacey Laform of the Mississaugas of the credit, not new credit, but of the credit. Thank you so much for that poem and for joining us. Pastor Terrell Hurd of the Spirit of Pentecost Church in Mississauga, thank you so much. Aman Zahir from the mosque in Brampton, thank you so much. Detective Sergeant Faras Ismail from Peel Police, thank you for joining us. And Imran Hussein, thank you for bringing, Hussein, I apologize. Thank you for bringing everyone together. Really appreciate it and the efforts that you played. Gentlemen, thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks everyone for joining us. That's
Thank
our show
you.
for tonight. I come to you every Monday through Friday on 9:60 a.m. at 7 o'clock at night. Good night, everybody.
Hey, Brian, just wanted to let you know, anybody that's interested in seeing some of the pictures and photos, like the fire trucks, the police, the uniforms, people picking all these things up. It's very exciting. Go to our Facebook, Spirit of Pentecost, on our Facebook, and you'll see a lot of photos. We got a special page just for the Mask Endeavor.
I'll go there. Thanks so much.